Hello, this video will be for Module 18, Unit 2, Activity 3, about early childhood education libraries. Now, the first question that I want to answer is, how do I choose books for my classroom library? First of all, I look at what does the story entail, who is the author, what background do they come from, and what representations do they have in it. I've been slowly collecting books throughout the year, and I have been leaning more towards stuff that I have read that for me feel classic, like Goldilocks, Ferdinand and the Bull, the Three Bears, and such things. But I want to collect more of a wide variety of books, and I'm starting to look into, is there translations of Japanese books I used to love as a child. How well do I think my books represent different cultures in my classroom? So I've been slowly collecting books over the year from the elementary classroom that I want, and I feel like I don't have a great representation of all. I do have a mixed variety of books for different loves. Like I have sports books, I have adventure books, I have the classic Winnie the Pooh books, or Eric Carle and stuff like that, and Dr. Seuss. But I feel like there needs to be more of a variety, especially with other cultures mixed in between, because most of my picture books aren't culturally representative of other cultures. So I feel like I need to work better on that. So what do I think the purpose of books have? Definitely teaching a lesson and giving ideas to the students how to treat their friends, what they should do in certain situations, and how they can, perceive things in the world and how to handle it themselves. So I really think books are very important, and I think they can really do teach a lot of different lessons. Even though I'm doing an early childhood education course, I actually love history, and I have a plethora collection of books, and my dream job in the future is to become a history professor. I actually have more books based on different cultures because of that. So I have my books on Japanese history, Chinese history, Hispanic history, European history, African history, and Native American history. And the reason why I think that is so important, as I tell my students every time I talk to them, that everyone's perspective of history is different. When you get told World War II by the Japanese perspective, or the German perspective, or the American perspective, you're going to get a different world viewpoint and some biases that come with it. So the purpose of books for me is also teaching it in a different perspective from the rest of the world, so that when they read it they can go, oh, that's me, but also to give them a lesson. How can I ensure my students have access to these books? I found a great program that many teachers actually use, which is called EPIC, which is an online book program where they can read books online, and I think that is very useful. You just have to get your school on board with getting access to that. Another great one is public libraries. Even Japan has many public libraries, and it is free. Some aren't always free from what I've heard about in America. And another great thing is exchange programs. What are exchange programs? Some great, awesome little things is some places have something called a little library, and they put books in it and you can exchange books, and I think that's really cool. But another way of thinking the exchange program is, as a teacher, sending a list of books you have and students choosing it, and then you dropping it off if you have the time. Of course, I put in my slide that access to books, if you have a public library, at least give them a map so they know where is the public libraries in their area, so they have quicker and better access and understand what you're talking about, rather than going, if they don't have electronics, they don't have those type of things, instead of saying, okay, I don't know where the public library is, I have no access to anything to tell me where they are, and kind of jot that down. At my school, we have an online library source, which if they have an account, which they do, they can get online books, which is a great program. It does cost the school money, but it doesn't cost the students extra money since it's already within the tuition. EPIC is an extra cost that our school can probably pay for and give more book options, especially for lower elementary students. So that is my spiel on how I choose books for my classroom. Again, as a teacher, we have the hard choice of picking books for our classroom. Some of the classic books that I like is Chicka Chicka Boom Boom, The Very Hungry Caterpillar. This is a more new one, but Pete the Cat, which a lot of students love, which kind of surprised me for a moment, but as I read through them, I understood why they could like them. Another, to me, this is classic, I don't know about other people, but Where the Wild Things Are. So each of these books have amazing stories to tell. This one's kind of interactive because, you got to put your finger through the hole. And for certain kids, this is a lot of fun. They get to do something different. Instead of just flipping the pages and reading, they're going to poke holes into it. Again, each story has a different thing to talk about. This one's about a very hungry caterpillar changing into a beautiful butterfly at the end. For this one, it's one of my favorites. One of the things that I feel like this is definitely for younger kids, especially toddlers, while the parents are reading to them. Does the art complement the text? And definitely so. If you open it, it's a very different style, and when you read about how he makes this, it's amazing how he makes this. My opinion on the text is very simple. So my favorite thing about one Sunday morning, the warm sun came up, and pop out of the egg came a tiny and very hungry caterpillar. I love the expression in there, and I really do think that the text is expressive and helps students and children get the idea of what the reader is talking about. Sometimes they won't understand Sunday, but you can explain it to them in a way that, okay, Sunday is a day, and we're talking about a little bug from a little egg that pops. So I think this really can capture the kids' attention, especially with those small little words. So what are some weaknesses and strengths about this book right here? So the strengths of it, I love how it goes in the week order. So when you, of course, open to the page in which it talks about what he ate each day. So he on a Monday, he ate this. On Tuesday, he ate this. So you're teaching the kids the days of the week. But not only that, each one, so on Monday, he ate through one apple. And then on Tuesday, he ate through 2 pears. It's counting. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then, on the 7th, on Saturday, he goes through a lot more than what he originally goes through. And I like that it goes through counting. But again, this one might be a little confusing for these kids, because all of a sudden, when they were at 5, he goes and jumps to a bigger number. For some kids, they might understand that he's very, very hungry. But for other kids, they're like, whoa, why did it increase so much? Again, there's math in this too, because when you think about it, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then all of a sudden when it hit Saturday, he ate 10 different things from Friday, which was 5. So, quick math is 5 times 2. But again, some kids aren't at that level again. So that's the one part that kids may be like, okay, then if he ate this much and it increased by 1 every day, why did he all of a sudden go crazy with it? But again, I really like the representation of numbers in this book, how the days follow the exact order of the week, but also how it's talking about growth in this little caterpillar right here who's having a little stomach ache at the moment. So how can I incorporate this text into my classroom? Easily through science. I can talk about growth, because we're talking about a caterpillar that grows into a beautiful butterfly. So at my school, the 3rd grade classroom actually goes and does the experiment where they catch a butterfly. Well, they don't catch a butterfly. They get a caterpillar and they get to watch it go to a cocoon, then to become a butterfly. And I think that is a great way to implement this into the classroom, but also to talk about students and their eating habits and the days of the week. So why do I talk about eating habits? Because at first you can tell he's eating, regular things. He's eating fruits, mostly fruits over here. And then all of a sudden he's eating all this junk food and he gets a big stomach ache. So kind of reminding students, like, that's why your parents care about what you eat. We don't want you to get a tummy ache. We want you to stay healthy. So I think this is a great lesson for a book. And again, there's so many different things, like the idea of Where the Wild Things Are is about a wild child and having to explore the world and be different in his daydreams. And I just love the whole story it tells. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with being a creative child. I think that's what this main book took me to, was there's nothing wrong with an active mindset. And again, as a child, I was so happy with this book because it's different. The illustrations may be scary, but some kids love that. And so again, how do you incorporate these different books in your classroom? There's so many different ways. You can talk about growth. You can talk about being different or an active imagination. You can just talk about the simple things like Pete the cat on the bus and what he does on the bus, and this can teach about, etiquette inside the bus. And these books can go through a plethora of lessons. And that's why, again, I have so many different favorite children's books, but this one takes the cake, because as a child, I loved how different the artwork is. I loved the little counting and then poking my holes in through the paper. And again, there's many different books out there for kids. Love them for different reasons. A kid may love this, not this one. A kid may love this one more than this one. And probably just because of the style, how simple it is. Or someone may like this one because he thinks the drawings are amazing. Or someone may like this one because it's a cat. again, there's a plethora of different reasons why kids love text. And again, that's why it's important to have these different types of textbooks, not having just one general standard. And I think it's important to ensure that we have a plethora of styles and writings and different authors, different cultures, because then you can see what students gravitate to, and then you can recommend things that may fit their style.